What happened? Yeah, you can tell it's also getting much more difficult for this vehicle to continue to move. I want to show you out. It's too far. I won't pull out that far. But if you go about a block and a half away, you've got a half a dozen patrol cars. And I think what they're trying to do is just stop some of the traffic on Ventura Boulevard so people don't drive up next to them. It's inevitable. You can't stop all of it. But you see on the left side of your screen right there are the patrol cars. So they're trying to stop traffic on Ventura going westbound. There's some traffic they can't stop, like from these surface streets or the parking lots onto Ventura Boulevard, but they're trying to keep as many people away from him as possible, and they want to be right behind him if this comes to a stop and he makes a run for it. They'd like to get him into custody, but obviously it's getting more and more difficult for the suspect to continue down on that one rim at this point in time, and it's inevitable at some point this is going to end. And we've been watching it now, as you mentioned, for 2 hours. There was one traffic collision, but we don't think anybody's been hurt. And as far as danger to the public, there's another spike strip, and it's hard to say. They may have got that left rear, and that would be nice. Yep. Yeah. We understand they called good spike. That's what they call it. It's good spike. So they think they got it, but we heard that on the last one too, and they didn't have it. So we're going to have to see. But that one looks successful. I think if they've got the right front and the left rear, this vehicle is going to have a real hard time going anywhere fast. And, it doesn't appear the suspect has any indication he's just going to give himself up. I mean, unless maybe the drugs wear off, if that's what this is all about. But it's going to be tough to keep this going if they did get that left rear tire and then the right front is already down to the rim. But we just hope this ends without incident and nobody gets hurt. As of right now, we don't think anybody's been hurt in this 2-hour-long pursuit, except for the initial accident that we don't know a lot about that happened at 7:20 up at DeSoto and Lassen in Chatsworth. We don't think, or we don't know for sure, but it may not be this was the vehicle involved in that accident. This vehicle may have been stolen. Pure speculation. We're just trying to piece things together. We don't know for sure, but we just know it was a hit-and-run incident, and then we know it was a stolen vehicle. We believed in the pursuit, or one of the vehicles in the accident was a stolen vehicle. So it's hard. LAPD is not really interested in giving us that because they got so much other things to worry about, and you understand that. So we haven't been able to piece it all together, but if they did get the left rear, and I think they did because you see the vehicle swerving a bit, then I think this may be over soon. Yeah. I'm dragging that trailer. Yeah, let's hope not much further, right? That's enough of this. We just, like I said before, I mean, you follow these things. There's no rhyme and reason to them ever, but you just don't want anyone to get hurt. We're on Ventura Boulevard, headed westbound into the Woodland Hills area, coming up on Winnetka. For the most part, the entire time, it started in Chatsworth. It's been in the Woodland Hills, Canoga Park area for the most part. And making a left turn here, I think what we're going to see is it's just going to be extremely difficult to maneuver and to control that truck if we do have the left rear flat. We haven't been able to get to that side and confirm it yet. We're working on that, but there's a lot of other aircrafts up here in the LAPD, and we have to have separation. So sometimes we can't get exactly where we want to get, but you can tell by the way it's sliding there. You see it's kind of sliding? I'm pretty sure that left rear tire is right down to the rim as well. So I really have a feeling they're going to be able to stop this soon, or this vehicle is just not going to be able to continue. And it's really weird how he engages individuals. When he gets next to an individual, he engages, tries to talk to them. And I don't know what these two people are doing right here in front of him. If they really think they're trying to intervene and stop traffic, that's not a good idea. I don't know if that's the case, but look what it did to the suspect. It just made him speed up. Let's push into that and see if they got it. It's really hard to tell. Did they get maybe a tire on the trailer as well? Hopefully they got that left rear. It looks like it might be going down slowly, but it's just so hard to tell. And they may have just got the inner one and not the outer one. I think there's two tires on that double rim there. But you could tell when those individuals tried to stop him, he took off. And now you see somebody next to him. It looks like they're filming him. So I tell you, when these pursuits, yeah, they go on for a while. A lot of people want to get out and get involved, and it's not a good idea. No. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, drugs or psychosis, right? I mean, a lot of times, if you have a psychotic individual, they're going to try and start a conversation about nothing. That could be the case, but unfortunately, even though we heard good spike, push into that right rear. I mean, I don't see it flat yet. Maybe it's headed that direction, but once that goes completely flat, if it does seem to be wobbling a bit. So hopefully that's going to be the case. That's really going to deter where the suspect can go. But yeah, Irene, don't want to get involved. You can get arrested for being involved. You get involved in this thing, you try and intervene, you try and stop this. You can get arrested for that. They don't want you anywhere near that. And if you have any sense whatsoever, you're not going to. Is this BMW right here trying to speed up and take more pictures? It almost looks like it. Yeah. Yeah, not recommended. Not smart, but everybody wants to get wants to get the picture. And there he goes. He's going to pull up. He's going to shoot with a phone. And boy, you just never know. I mean, he just may ram that vehicle just out of spite because the guy's doing that. It's not good. Push all the way into the tire. Unfortunately, I don't see the left rear going flat. A little flat, but we don't see it all the way down. So hopefully it's slowly going to go all the way down because that'll really restrict the maneuverability of this vehicle and hopefully stop this pursuit. Open up a little bit now that he's stopped, if you would, Marcel, just want to get an idea what's going on. So look at the tow truck, and it looks like, is that a G-Wagon or a Jeep? That's the same two vehicles that were in front of him before. It's a Jeep. And the same tow truck. Remember they tried to stop him a moment ago? So there's a lot of people in here on Ventura Boulevard that are basically engaging this thing. They shouldn't, but they are. And then you see the LAPD cruisers behind them, maybe 100 yards or so now. They've moved up a little bit. So they haven't gone completely away from tracking mode. They're still engaged somewhat, and then they have the helicopter overhead. And you could tell he continues to look back, and we'll just hope that tire in the right rear there, or the left rear there, goes flat soon. $15. Yeah. No, slow rate of speed. He's continuing on. We don't see a flat on that left rear like we thought we would. And if that was the case, I really thought that maybe this would come to an end pretty soon. But with just the right front and driving at this rate of speed, he could probably continue on for a long time. I follow a lot of pursuits when they're on a rim and they're traveling at a high rate of speed. That rim does not hold up for long. But when you're just barely moving like this, you could probably go on way too long. And there comes a BMW again. It's the same knucklehead that was trying to get some pictures. But every time we see people out, this suspect really does try and engage with the individuals. Every time he tries to get some gestures going, tries to talk to whoever is on the shoulder. And in a lot of cases, when we follow these pursuits, and almost all of them, we see the suspects on the phone. This individual hasn't been. We talked about how erratic he's been inside the cab of this truck, looking out, pointing down, gesturing at people, throwing bottles out, grabbing something from the back, looking at the tires, looking back at the police, and not for one moment does he sit still. So he's fidgeting, he's very nervous, he's, obviously, as I mentioned, according to the police, they believe he's under the influence of something. Well, we've seen a couple of close calls. We've seen him go into oncoming traffic, but it's such a low rate of speed. It wasn't like we were, thinking, oh my goodness, somebody's going to die here. He did make a couple of maneuvers and, pulling that trailer. The trailer went up onto the curb. We know at one point there was an accident during the pursuit at Sherman Way and Corbin. We haven't seen anything that really got our attention like, oh my goodness, because of the rate of speed hasn't been that high. But that's no indicator that might not happen here sometime soon if this individual gets desperate or more desperate. But it looks like that right rear tire, or I should say the left rear tire, the one on the right side of your screen, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going flat to me. If it is, it's doing it awful slowly. Yeah, they initially tried several times on Topanga Canyon Boulevard. Those were all unsuccessful. At this point in time, we only believe of the 7 or 8 that they tried, one was successful. And it's not easy for them to deploy it in some situations. The first indication is when they missed it the first time, this guy is aware that they're trying to do it. So every time he comes up on an intersection, he drives slow. When they did it on Topanga Canyon Boulevard, he was able to maneuver around, and Topanga was big enough he could even make a U-turn when he saw they were in front of him. So he saw a lot of activity like that. LAPD has patrol cars in this whole area. We're in Woodland Hills right now on Ventura Boulevard. For the most part, it's all been on the West Valley. And more than likely, they're going to do some more spike strips. But the officers don't want to get right in front of the vehicle. I mean, there's a couple of things they're worried about. He could gun it. He could try and hit the officer. He could just swerve towards the officer and say, I'm going to hit that guy. They don't want an officer to get hurt. Second, we don't know if the suspect's armed. We don't know if he could get out of the vehicle and open fire on the officer. So there's a lot of dynamics here. There's a lot of things going on that you can't predict. And so it's just not as easy as, hey, man, throw that thing out in front of the tire. It just doesn't work that way. You'd like to think it does. And, now there's another factor, and that's that the public are getting involved. They're pulling up trying to engage this guy. And it just makes it harder for law enforcement because they got to worry about the public as well, and now they're getting next to this individual who could be very dangerous. Yep. Here comes a BMW again. Thank you. Yeah, Irene and Tony, we just heard that they're calling out SWAT, so they may bring an armored vehicle out, and they may believe that with the armored vehicle they can get in front of them. Did you just throw something out, or is that a piece of the tire? Look at a piece of tire. You don't see it in the, you don't see it in this shot, but the right front. We went to this side because we thought the left rear was hit with a spike strip, but the right front tire is gone. It's just on the rim. If you're just joining us. But we do understand that SWAT's been called, and they may bring the armored vehicle out to try and stop this. It looks like, though, if the suspect continues with what he's doing right now, he's not a huge threat to people out on the road, and that's good, because a lot of these pursuits we follow are just so dangerous, they scare you. Oh, door's open. Hopefully he gets out here. We've seen that a couple of times. That's the second time, Irene, we've seen him open the door. This continue on. He's just so erratic. There's no way of knowing what's going on inside this guy's head and what he may or may not do. You can see by this shot, we're on Ventura Boulevard, just crossing Shoup and in the Woodland Hills area. But LAPD's backed off again. Like I said, they did call in SWAT, but I don't think that's going to be an immediate thing. I think it's going to take some time before they really get deployed and get out here. And hopefully it'll be over by then. But look at all the tread that's coming off. It's almost gone completely, and then I think even at this speed, eventually that rim is going to collapse. And when it does collapse, it could start a fire. You see the smoke. The cab could start on fire. That'll get them out. Or the rim will collapse, and once that happens, you just can't drive the vehicle at all, and it'll be over. So it is the left rear almost a little flat. It almost appears, the right rear right there, is that one almost a little flat? It almost appears that it is, but it didn't go completely down to the rim. But, hopefully this will just be over soon. We're still on Ventura Boulevard, slowly headed westbound through the Woodland Hills area. I'm going to speed tracker. Yep. Yeah, well, fortunately, he stops at the red lights, so, he doesn't want to kill himself. And now you have the patrol cars right behind him, so, it's been really interesting to watch this pursuit as far as what the police strategy is. 1 minute they're tracking mode, the next minute they're right behind him, the next minute every intersection they're trying to get a spike strip out. Now they're calling out SWAT. Of course, the helicopter's overhead. If he gets low on fuel, they'll call in another one, so they'll definitely keep the helicopter on this individual. Stopping at red lights, and then it's difficult for the vehicle to get going. There's a lot of drag when you don't have a right front tire. So the initial startup of the vehicle. And Marcel, it looks to me like that one's getting a little flat on the right rear as well. So it looks to me, I don't know if to you guys or it's just a shadow, but it appears to me that's getting flat. And if that happens, see, then it's going to be really difficult for the vehicle to move at all, okay, because it's a rear-wheel drive truck. And if you get that rear tire down to the rim and the front tire down to the rim, it's going to be hard to get up any type of speed. It's also going to be hard to control the vehicle. And we're not seeing a very high rate of speed at all anymore, and that may be one of the reasons. Yeah, slowly but surely, it's going to be more and more difficult to drive this vehicle, and it's encouraging that the right rear is going flat as well. That's really going to make it more difficult. Open up for a moment, Marcel. I can't see. Are they still right behind him? Yeah, they're pretty much following right behind. I don't see a spike strip up ahead, another one, but we could get one. And fortunately, there's not a lot of volume right here on Ventura Boulevard headed westbound. There's been a lot of construction on this, so I think a lot of folks avoid it. Not only that, Ventura Boulevard, at some point ends once you hit Valley Circle. And then that'll be, you could get on the freeway at this point in time, but it'd be a surprise, I think, if the suspect did that. But, you never know. You can't get into the mind of these individuals at all. You can't even guess them. And every time you try and guess what they might do, in my experience, you're going to be wrong. But it's good that it's going slow. It's good that they made progress with getting more of the tires flat. And it's good that we don't see really any danger to the public. And as far as we know, no one's been hurt. So that's good as far as pursuits goes well. Push into that tire, Marcel. It looks like it's almost all the way down now onto the rim. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time at this point in time, or a matter of time before this is over. I don't think he's going to be able to continue. Once that goes down to the rim, really going to be difficult to control this truck. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it depends on so many factors, depending on how they cover it. It depends on the agency. It depends on the supervisor who's telling the officers exactly how they're going to proceed. We're seeing them speed up a little bit, and we're going to end up at Valley Circle here in a moment. They don't have any units at Valley Circle. When we see higher speeds, though, like we're seeing here for the moment, that just means more pressure on those tires and the rims, and it could indicate they're not going to be able to control the vehicle. You see some swerving there. Not sure if he's doing it on purpose, but you can see having a very difficult time controlling this truck. Now, this is Valley Circle. If he continues with a right turn there, we'll be going back northbound, so back up into the Woodland Hills area. But we do have all the officers still right behind him at this point in time. And just to give you guys an indication, we have probably another 5 minutes maximum before we're going to have to break for fuel ourselves. And we're hoping he runs out of fuel before we do. $20 minutes, yeah. Other side. Yep. We're going to try and get to the other side, and then we can get a better look at the two tires. That the right front that's down to the rim, and then the other one you can see is about ready to lose the tire completely in the rear as well. And then it's really, 27 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour is fast when you're down to just rims and you can't control the vehicle. There's not a huge amount of traffic on Valley Circle right here. We're right in front of the high school. Fortunately, they're not in session. I don't see a lot of traffic in the area, but you can tell right down to the rim. We had some smoke coming out a moment ago. At the higher speed, you start to see sparking. Sometimes you'll see a fire start. You start to see that rim will just unravel. And like I mentioned earlier, when the rim does get down to the right down to the axle, it's over. You're not going anywhere. But it certainly has taken a long time. And we've got patrol cars, for the most part, still right behind him. It's right in front of the high school here on Valley Circle, headed northbound. But a pretty high rate of speed, considering you're just on a rim there. Oh, the brakes. It's going to break. Yep. When he hits the brakes, one of these times, that rim is going to snap, and then it's over, okay? Because there's so much pressure on that rim. You could see it when he hits the brakes. And, officers right behind him, they realize he's having a hard time maneuvering. He's got you see how the rim is turned there. He's trying to maneuver the vehicle, having a very hard time. And they're just hoping this individual gets out of the vehicle and they can get this over without incident. It's gone on long enough. Nobody's got hurt. Let's just get this individual into custody. The vehicle's having a really hard time accelerating. Once it gets up to 27, 30 miles an hour, it's not too bad. But getting to that speed, you can tell, is very difficult, especially it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. And once it's all the way down to the rim on the back tire, it's going to be very difficult for it to get going. And a couple more slams on the brakes like that, slamming on the brakes, and that rim could just collapse. It gets down to the axle, and the vehicle's not going anywhere. It certainly is. I mean, it could go, it could go on for another hour. One time I followed a pursuit of a Land Rover that went down to the rim on the 101 North, all the way up into Ventura, and I believe it drove like 100 miles on the rims. So if you don't drive too fast, you can go for a long time, but slamming on the brakes is going to make that rim collapse at some point. We do hope it gets over soon, because our ability to cover it here is going to diminish probably. I don't know, we have 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're close to Van Nuys Airport, so it's easy for us to duck in there and get fuel. We don't have concerns, but once we get down to a certain point, we have to head that direction, and certainly we will. We did hear that they're going to call in SWAT. At this point in time, I don't really know what SWAT is going to do, and if SWAT's going to be activated, like to get in front of this guy. Maybe they're thinking that SWAT should be available if this turns out to be a standoff at some point. I really don't think that they would put an armored vehicle in front of this vehicle to try and stop it. I've never seen anything like that. But there goes the right rear, and when that tire comes off altogether and they're down to the rim, you know, it's going to really diminish this guy's ability to keep going and to control the vehicle. As I look outside, open up out of your shot a little bit. So we're coming up here, I think maybe on Sherman Way. Is it Sherman Way or Platt, actually? On Valley Circle. It turns into Platt at Victory Boulevard. He's making a stop. There's an intersection here. There's 4 or 5 patrol cars behind him. Looks like he might be trying to make a right turn. And we just don't know if it's making a right turn. He just can't control the vehicle, but it looks like a right turn now. Back to basically the same area where we saw most of this pursuit go. We can't control it. Sounds good. No way. Yep. Hold on a second. We're hearing they might try and pit him. We want to be here for that. Can we go to the light? Are you cool? Or you want to go now? To go a couple minutes. Okay. How are they going to pit this guy? Seriously going to pit? No way. No way they're going to pit this. I can't believe that they could pit this. It wouldn't work. Yeah. Oh, the guy's a rookie. Oh, here we go. Get some speed up. That's he might crash. He might lose control of this vehicle. Are we still streaming, guys? I'm assuming that we are. So there was an officer who was calling for the pit, and then I just couldn't believe that would be the case, and it's not. The supervisor said, no, you can't pit this guy. But we're seeing that, there you go, lost the tread altogether, down to the rim basically in the back. A lot of weight back there. It's a rear drive vehicle. That is really going to be difficult for him to continue. What's our speed tracker? What's our pace here? Because even at 35 miles an hour, that's pretty fast on the rim. You know, one quick move with the steering wheel with a guy who's really been indecisive and fidgeting and really not in control of himself for the most part. One quick turn, this thing could flip over and you could cause the damage to other vehicles. You could hurt or even kill someone. We're on Victory Boulevard headed eastbound. We've been on Victory Boulevard several times in the Woodland Hills area. This has gone on for over 2.5 hours now. There was one accident involved. We don't think anyone was hurt. And coming to a stop will be interesting because once the vehicle stops, especially if it hits the brakes, you see so much pressure on the front rim, the right front rim that's lost the tire there. And then getting going is going to be difficult. To accelerate is going to be nearly impossible when the back is down to the rim. So a lot of factors going on here. Go ahead. You got it. Great job, Johnny. Very, very, very good job, man. Very good. Really excellent, excellent. Yeah, Marcel, incredible. But for Johnny, that's pretty amazing because he didn't have that much time covering these pursuits. So that was phenomenal. I wasn't nervous once.